Bonjour, everybody. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nation's Communications from Home, and it's Tuesday night, November 7th. Here in Tomah, Wisconsin, I think we've actually officially started fall because it didn't get above 40 degrees today. It was cold. Sunshiny, though, but it was cold. And so we're heading into that time of year where it's going to do that S word, that four-letter word pretty soon. Can feel it in the air. You know how it feels? Yeah. So anyway, welcome to the show. We have such a great evening prepared. Now, I need to let you know that we are going to be going a full hour tonight, because usually we do a 30-minute show, right? But tonight, we're going to need every minute for the topic that we have tonight. And that topic tonight is about the Saturn Return. Surviving Your Saturn Return is the name of the show. Because it's it like hit close to home because I'm a Sagittarius 4 times. So I wanted to, it's been, just to use the word interesting doesn't even describe the last 2 years, since 2015. It has been very challenging, especially when I really didn't understand what was going on. My life is usually pretty joyful, and I'm an optimist. I'm the one that's walking on the sunny side of the street. I'm the one who's saying, yeah, but where's the gift? The gift's in there somewhere. So, let's look for the gift. Or, it's a life lesson. But you know what? Life lessons are two-way streets. So if I'm having a life lesson, then someone else is too. And so, I have to say, as time progressed, it got harder and harder and harder to be an optimist. It got very challenging. And, the work that I do with spirit, with energy, got very difficult to do. My emotions were blocking lots of stuff. And, the emotions played out in the physical world. Yeah, lots of crying were going on here in Tomah, Wisconsin, at Ledusa Vita. Our name of our property is the Sweet Life, but there was lots of crying going on. And I even looked at it in a way from a Native American point of view, where it comes to medicine. Is this any bad medicine going on here? Is there something I need to help with, to call in another medicine worker to be able to do all of that? And so actually what I found is that no, there wasn't. And even with that, I was second guessing myself because my radar, my intuition was kind of spotty at best, and you don't know how many times I referred people to other workers because I didn't feel like I could hold that energetic container for them in the way that they needed it held. And so there was lots of things going on, right? Well, I started asking for help, and some people literally left in droves, and others were shocked, and they didn't, I'll pray for you from a distance kind of thing. It's like, oh, thank you very much, but I need somebody to actively help me. And so what happened is, Julie was talking about something on one of her shows, and she started talking about Saturn and the Saturn Return. And I dug out my astrology that Julie Hedges did for me in I think it was the end of 2015. And in there, she actually talked about the Saturn Return. Why I never thought about it, why it never occurred to me to look at it until then, only spirit, only the creator knows, right? And so I knew I was onto something. I knew it. I could feel it. And so I contacted my guest tonight, Julie Hedges, and asked her if she could please come on to this show with me and talk about the Saturn return, because I'm not the only Sagittarian going through this. There's a whole bunch of us, the whole world. We're part of it, right? The Sagittarians. So there's a whole bunch of us going through this. And not only that, I'm hoping that the information that we share tonight is really going to help some other Sagittarians, other people, maybe even understanding what happened to them when it was their Saturn return and they didn't realize it. Or let's go forward, because Saturn's going to be leaving my sign in a couple of months. Yay! But it's going to be going into Capricorn. And so let's help out the Capricorns, right? Let's help them out and see what we can do with information. So my guest tonight is Julie Hedges. Julie Hedges is one of our contributing writers for Star Nations magazine. She writes under the column, The Tarot Journey to the Stars. And so what she's doing is she's blending the tarot with the astrology and her very unique perspective of astrology. And so not only that, she's one of our show hosts too. She's a host for the Tarot Journey that is once a month, the third Monday of every month, right here on Star Nations Radio Network, live streaming from her fan page. And so Julie comes to us with a lot of experience in astrology. She says that astrology is her first language. And so we're going to tap into that wisdom that she carries on astrology to help us understand who is Saturn, and why do we have to go through this return in the way that we do, and where are the gifts, right? What happens with all of that? So I'm going to bring Julie on with me here. Hello, Julie Hedges. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Neshi. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Is there a little feedback on?
No, you sound good to me.
Okay.
We'll see what people start saying in the chat room. In fact, before we get too far, I just want to say hello, Zach. Zach saying, I love snow. It's so comforting to me. Janet Schnell. I finally remembered to sign in. Thanks, Denise Iwana. Hello, Janet. Welcome to the show. And your friend and mine, Rob Candle.
Yes.
Yay, like Mudville.
Bad feedback, huh?
Yeah, kinda. Kinda. And then we also have Holly Hagen. Hi, Holly. Thanks for joining us. And guess what? Guess who's in the house? Brandoline's in the house, too. Hi, Brandoline. We got a little something going on with Brandoline. She's going to be joining the contributing writers team.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. Can't wait to get that started. And then one of my sisters is in the house too. Minnie Kansman. Hello, Minnie. Mighty Minnie is what we call her. And then I hope I pronounce this right. Icona. I don't know. You're going to have to let me know if I pronounce that right. Welcome to the show. Oh, Janet is saying she's got some bad feedback coming. I don't hear it though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope everything works out.
Yeah, me too. And Rob is saying I can hear her tell she's not bad at carrying a tune either.
Aw.
I hear you guys made some really beautiful music in October. You and Rob when you
yes,
played
it was a
together.
good show.
Yeah, it was a great show. So thank you for coming and helping us understand Saturn and what the heck a Saturn return is. And from my personal point of view, why is it so challenging? And if we can help a few people out tonight, that would be wonderful. And to help them know that it doesn't have to be this way. If I would have known some of this stuff starting in 2015, I might have made a couple of different decisions along the way. I might have.
Sure.
Yeah. So why if you could just start us out with some basic information about Saturn so we understand this planet and understand him, and so that we understand what it's like when he's going to be coming our way.
Sure. Well, Saturn is one of the 7 classical planets of astrology. He is the furthest most planet that we can see with the naked eye. And he represents Saturday, or Saturn's day. So we have the 7 days of the week, all associated with a planet. And he is strong, solid earth. Very masculine, yes. The best archetype of Saturn is Father Time. The Greeks called him Chronos for time, chronological order, and the Romans called him Saturn. So he is about foundation, strength, determination, hard work. And the core piece of Saturn is about integrity. What is integrous here? And he asks us, where are you investing your time and resources? How are you taking care of your body and your resources? What are you investing? And then reaping what you sow. It is what you put in, you get back out. So I like the archetype of Father Time as everything has its season, everything has its time. So a seed is planted, and then with diligence and determination and responsibility, it grows.
Okay.
The action of Saturn, if you want to think of it, an action of Saturn, is to constrict. So making things feel tighter and tighter and tighter. So
I can attest to that. Yes.
Yeah. So all the fluff and the superfluousness and all of that is pulled away. It's evaporated away until you get to the tight core. Until you get to what's solid. Until you get to what is integrous and true. So Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, the goat. It is an earth sign. It's a strong earth sign. So if Saturn was a landscape, Saturn would be the Rocky Mountains. So the strong, lone, full, gargantuan earth. So that's a little bit about what he is.
Right.
Now, the other piece of this is the authority figure, also called the Great Father. Well, some of us have had very loving, tender fathers. Others have very strict, authoritarian fathers. But that strong, integrous, backbone, responsible father figure is what he represents. But on the flip side, when you do your work and you do your homework and you eat your vegetables, then you can have your pudding. Then he becomes Father Christmas, where all the good little girls and boys get presents. So if you are diligent and you are working hard, then you will see the achievement and the recognition and the rewards and the results for that hard work. But Saturn moves around the zodiac and affects all of us at different times. But his job says, you're going to put on your shoes, you're going to pick up your pencil, we're going to school.
The taskmaster, sort of.
Yes, the taskmaster. You have to eat your meat to have your pudding, yes. So he represents strong authority figures, as in the CEO of the bank president or the dean of the university. So someone with a large presence, a large authoritarian presence.
Okay. Well, there's a couple things that you said there that kind of jumped out at me. the part about the constricting, and so you're getting rid of the superfluous, the things that you shouldn't be having anyway. And so you literally, yes, I have to say, the sorting out, no, can't do that. I don't have enough energy to do this. I don't have enough energy to do that. I would really like to do that. Why do I have to change that? I like that. But it was extraneous, right? To the point where, now, not a lot of people know this. So, we're going to be using my chart too later. So you guys are going to find out a lot more about me than maybe you really want to. But that's one of the reasons why I moved away from so many radio shows. I used to do 8 shows a month. And I went down to 3. Because it was like, I wanted to do it. And the more I wanted to do it, the harder it got to do. I'm also taking care of my mom too. And so there's some things with her that was, hard to handle all at the same time. And so that was the constricting and getting down narrower and more narrow. And when you're talking about somebody who is a quadruple Sagittarian, and, my planet is Jupiter, right? Expansion. We love expansion. It was the constricting that really made me start to take notice. That was the beginning of the really hard pieces to deal with. And I thought I was doing my work. I mean, I would even go into meditation, Julie, and I would fall asleep. I don't fall asleep in meditations. I have more self-discipline than that. But nope, I did. And I kept doing it consistently. And I was starting to beat myself up over it, right? And it's like, wait a minute. If you're that dang tired that you're falling asleep in meditations, why don't you take care of yourself and just take a 20-minute nap rather than being mean to yourself, right? And so then I started, okay, mom is resting for the afternoon. I'm gonna sit in my recliner and I'm gonna take a 20-minute nap. And so, and that did start to shift some things, but I understand what you're saying in the description of him. And so not only was I trying to do my work, but I was trying to figure out what work I'm going to do. What can I do? But I was also starting to take care of myself in a way that I hadn't before. So I just wanted to share that so people would understand a little bit more about that description that you gave, and how it actually looks in real life.
One of the archetypes I love of Sagittarius is the cowboy. I'm free out here to roam on the range.
Yeah.
And so Saturn literally came along and said, hold your horses. So for all that time, hold your horses. Now, did you pack this? Did you pack this? Do you have your map? Do you have your compass? Hold your horses. Hold your horses. And you're like, come on, man. I gotta go.
and literally having to stay put. Somebody who loves to travel and putting myself in a position that I have to be here, right? In one spot for over a year. Somebody, I don't even know who it was. I don't remember who did this, but they had placed a post on Facebook about pausing. Pausing, waiting is not to say what you're going to say, but actually pause before you say it, or do something to pause. And as a kind of like a little flippant kind of thing, is like, I get that. I've been on pause since 2015, but that's how it feels. That's how it feels. It's like wanting to go, wanting to do, not wanting to change my life. And the harder I tried to keep my old life, it really got challenging. And so what I'd like to do is to be able to share with our audience about the return. What does that mean when Saturn comes to visit your house for 2.5 years?
Sure.
Can't get rid of that visitor.
Yeah. He knocks on the door and he says, we're going to school. And so for some of us, it's like, oh, yippee, it's art class. Awesome. We get to go to school. For other people, it's like, for me, it's like math. Oh, no. Oh, no. Rob will appreciate that. It's math. Oh, no. I don't speak that language. So it's harder at certain times.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Saturn stays in a sign for 2.5 years. And what the return means is that every 28 to 30 years, it just depends on where it is in your particular chart. And you can book an astrology reading with me to find that out, or you can also get free charts online that, share basic information about that. But every 28 to 30 years, Saturn returns to the place in the sky where he was when you were first born. And these signify times of great reckoning. So it's kind of like, here's where you have to answer for how you spent your time, because he's Father Time. What have you been spending your time doing? Where have you invested? What have you wasted? Your resources, your responsibilities. How have you been responsible or irresponsible? What are your foundations? What have you been trusting? How hard have you been working or not working? Are you being diligent? Are you being true? What are your ambitions? So he comes around in those times. So typically 28 to 30 is the first one. And when we think of those times in life, for a lot of folks, that's when a man or woman is just kind of getting established in their first career, maybe after university. Starting a family. That's a real big change in your integrity and your investment and your work and your business and your achievements. So then comes around at about age 56 to 58, 60, depends again on where in your chart. So it's another layer of, okay, since that time, where have you been spending your time and your resources? What have you sown and what are you reaping? And how are you taking care of your body? How are you taking care of the physical mechanisms of your life? So those are the big times when he comes around to the place where he was when you were born. So that's a Saturn return. He comes right back to that place.
Comes around. And I have to say, the one that happened about 28, 29, I had just graduated from college. I was a non-traditional student. It took me a while to get done because I had to pay for it myself. And, I was married and not on camp, didn't live on campus kind of thing. Sort of. I was on campus a lot. I should have just moved in. But it was a big push, because I wanted to get done with my degree. I think, let's see, I graduated when I was 27 or 28. Oh. And that last semester, I carried 19 credits.
Whoa.
Not something I would suggest by any stretch.
That's ambitious.
But I needed, I knew what it cost for me to sit in that chair. And so anyway, that first Saturn return, honestly, I didn't feel it to the extent that I feel it this time. My life was much different then, and I was in school. I did the work. I wasn't trying to make something happen or hang on to something that I needed to let go at that time. So the first one was actually fairly easy. I honestly don't even remember much about it. This one, I'm going to end up writing about this one because there's I'm thinking there that is part of the gem. That's part of the gift in that, is to be able to share it so that maybe others will maybe make different choices for themselves, knowing some information. Maybe I'll do a fictional.
Oh,
yeah. Think of the characters. So anyway, so he comes back around to visit every 28 to 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to put one in here. Rob said something in here. Rob is so funny. He says, mine have never went well. And, I think that's putting it politely, because I have to tell you, I even started swearing more than I ever swore in my entire life. It just happens so casually.
You're just colorful.
So casual too about it, to the point where I have to remember that my mom is in the room, because she'll give me one of those looks. Just out of respect. All right. So Saturn comes back around about 56, 57, 58, somewhere in there, right? You said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So when he's knocking on the door, when he's first entering your sign, how do you know? See, if I would have known then, like I said, I might have done some things a little different. How do you know when it's him?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say when you have a feeling of slowing down,
mm-hmm.
or an inkling of things are hard to slog through. Relationships are feeling more like you have to work harder to get something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be work, that could be relationships, that could be your career, that could be your fun activities, that could be your friends, it could be all of those things. Because I will tell you, in the astrological chart, there are 12 different pieces of us, 12 different places that he will go into. And of course, my language is astrology, so I look at it in those terms, but that can tell you, oh, well, if he's going to enter your 11th house, that would be your friends and your networking and your social groups.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of think about, okay, he's knocking on that door, so there might be some letting go, might be some changes going on there.
Okay. So I was going to bring up one of the pictures.
Sure.
Let's see. I was going to bring up the one of my chart, but I can't tell. There's a little box over it, so I'm not sure if this is the Lurda Camera one or if this is my actual chart.
There it is.
It is. Okay, we're going to give this one a solo so that people can actually see it a little bit better.
Awesome.
So this is my chart. And I asked Julie, I gave her permission to use it for this show because I wanted it to get to some specifics rather than talking about generalities through the whole show, so that we actually have some specific that you can grab onto and say, because I know there's Sagittarians out there that could really use some of this information. All right. So, Julie, if you could give us a little information about this.
Yes, I will be glad to. First, we're going to draw our attention to that big, that big arrow that says Saturn, Lord of Karma. So that's where Saturn was at the moment that Neshi was born. And you can see the numbers on the inside of the circle, the 1, 2, 3, 4, going all around. Saturn is in your first house, which represents your personality
mm-hmm.
and your physical body.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be your vitality and the way you operate in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So you've just told me, and in our previous conversations, about how those two aspects of your life have really been challenging, we'll say,
yeah,
for the last 2 years here.
Well, you know, the personality one probably is the one that was the most evident. Wait, I'm going to do this a little bit different here. Going to bring us up. No, don't want that. I want to try to give that one. The personality one, I think, really describes it best, is because I was trying to figure out how could I have been able to pinpoint the changes back in 2015, right? And I have to say there's one, and I've shared this with a couple of friends, and they're in the chat room, so you guys know this story. There is one incident that happened that at the time it happened, I just kind of cocked my head and thought, oh, that's different. That's like majorly different. And how do I feel about that? You know, what happened is it was at Spirit Doulas in the spring. I think it was in the spring of 2015. Maybe
in Michigan.
In Michigan. It was warm. I remember because we didn't have to wear jackets. I remember that. And Orchard and Carl Franklin showed up, right? And we love Orchard and Carl. I mean, come on, you know, they're our elders, one of our elders here at Star Nations, and they have such a great following. And there was a group picture that was going to be done. And we were outside on the deck out at Dana and Todd's, and we're out on the deck, and somebody was going to got a camera out, and they wanted to do a group picture. Well, I was sitting, and people started gathering around to get this group picture thing. I hadn't even gotten up out of my chair, and they started taking the picture. And so I just sat back down because I was too late, right? And I'm looking at this, and nobody noticed it, that I hadn't been in the picture, hadn't said, oh, wait, you know, Neshi needs to come in the picture. No, it was like I was invisible. It like I wasn't there. And I literally sat there for a while thinking, what just happened? How did that happen? You know, and talk about your personality, because I think your personality is definitely connected to your ego. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand, right? And so when I look back at that, that's the one thing that stands out to me, that I could have, had I had the information, said, oh, this is the start. The Lord of Karma, Saturn, is knocking on my door. I really do. Looking back at that, you know how they say hindsight's 20/20? I think that was it. I really do. So thank you for that, helping me to understand that the Saturn at the time of my birth was in the first house. And so when he's coming back around, that's the first house he gets to, right? Is that correct?
Right. Because they're all going, it all follows the 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12. So that's how everybody moves. Okay. For you, it's a little more challenging. You are unique because not only is Saturn in your first house, but also your sun, which is your vitality, your operating consciousness, your personality, your sunniness, how you shine in the world is there. Mm-hmm. And right next to that, well, literally on each other's laps, you have the sun and Jupiter. Jupiter expansion, Jupiter the higher mind, Jupiter the optimist, right there together. So your sunny personality is just heightened, and that's how you are. So when Saturn comes along, he hits boom, boom, those two guys right away to kind of deflate your balloon a little bit.
And it certainly did.
It's like, okay, quit bouncing on the couch, you two, sit down. Because lessons are coming.
Yeah, we got work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, you're just so bouncy and happy that you just want to, yay, let's get this going. Let's go, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they're bouncing on the bed, bouncing on the couch. So, boom, boom. And then now he actually won't, hit your exact Saturn until December.
Right.
But it's sliding into this.
Right. Right.
And feeling that constriction,
Mm-hmm.
especially with your unique attributes and the flavors of you, the flavors and colors and sounds and textures of you.
Yeah. You know, I really do. What I wanted to do is really address those people who are going through the Saturn return, right? All the other
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarians and all those who are going to be seeing him shortly
Mm-hmm.
is understanding what Julie just said to me. Now, this isn't the first time I've heard it because she really helped me out a few weeks ago to help me understand this. And then we did another layer of it because maybe this is a good time to say this, Julie, about the moving through all your bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I just had this light bulb moment go on this afternoon. Is that we have to also remember that all of our experiences happen in all of our bodies, our spiritual body, our emotional body, our mental body, and our physical body. And so when we experience something in the physical, it's already been with us for quite some time because it's working through each one of those bodies. And so at a soul level, that's the first layer that got the information and knows Saturn's on his way. We're going to have some fun, and then it moves through your other bodies until it gets to your physical body. And by the time it gets to your physical body, I tell you what, I was out of sorts. I didn't know what the heck was happening to me. I've never experienced depression, and I did. I'm not saying I'm out of the woods. I'm having much better days than I've had in the last year and a half, definitely. But it works through all of your bodies, and I didn't apply that to this situation until this afternoon. And I think when I first noticed it back in the mini saint in the fall of 2015, it had already been out in my spiritual body field already. And so here we go, right? And then you shared something with me about that analogy or that process that I just shared with you before we started the show. And you said something really, really interesting about that. You want to share it with everybody?
Well, astrology is the art and science of the law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. So everything rolling around up there is within our physical body. And in astrology, each planet, each sign rules a part of the body in the physical body. Mm-hmm. And so Saturn represents your bones, your teeth, your skin, literally the physical body.
Oh my
So
God.
when you are saying that it starts in your outer auric fields and works its way in, it is literally happening. Mm-hmm. Because we are living the law of correspondence all of the time. And I will say this, when you have those little inklings in 2015, like, ooh, mm-hmm. Yeah. That doesn't feel so good, but right. I don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. I think there is an element, not necessarily with Saturn, but just with our lessons, that if you knew what this journey was going to be these 2 years, or no, let me just turn around and say for myself, if I knew this journey that I'm currently on, I'd be like, forget a bunch of that. Mm-hmm. Let me just go back to being unconscious.
Because this
Let me just find the easy button. Eject. Next.
Because it's painful. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I can't sugarcoat
I'm
it.
being honest.
It is emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically painful. Even if you're in the flow of it and you're not trying to control it and trying, because I loved my life. I wanted to keep it exactly the way it was. And I couldn't. There were parts of it that I had to let go. And I mourned those. I mourned that part of me. Then I had to let go. And I think that's where there were some people very close to me left because I don't think they recognized me anymore. I don't think our vibrations just didn't match anymore, is probably a nice way to put it. And when I say they left in droves, all right, on a given day, I would say that and I would mean it. But in reality, there wasn't hundreds of people who left, but there were key people who left. And when their energy left, it made an impression. And so if I would have understood the Saturn return and where the return started and how it works through the houses, I may have understood that in a more positive way. I mean, I don't know if it would have hurt just as much. I don't know. But I think I would have understood it in a different way, another perspective. Yeah. I just looked at the note that you left me. Did you want me to put that in the chat so people have the
Yeah,
okay.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Because it's a good segue, because I did want to highlight something that we had talked about also, that with these personality changes and the constrictions that you've had and the physical challenges and just feeling hard and going so deep and strong. The other piece of this is all of the development with publishing.
Yeah. And I didn't make that
magazine
connection until you mentioned it, truly.
and the books.
Yeah.
And the broadcasting. Sagittarius is the publisher, the orator, the broadcaster, the one who reaches out there, out into the ethers, out into the universe, exploring in that way. So Saturn comes along and says, okay, now it's time to really put the solid pieces of publishing and broadcasting in a new and expanded way.
Yeah. And let me tell you, because you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. Because, and I would even say this to Paul, my husband, who was, by the way, was very, very concerned about me. I was had made an appointment to see a therapist and everything. Is that I would say out loud, if I didn't have Star Nation's publishing, the magazine and the books at that time, I said, it's my saving grace. It's what's keeping me together. It's what's keeping me grounded here. And putting the energy, my focus, my intention. So, because I couldn't leave. I can't leave. It was very difficult to be able to go out and travel and still have coverage for my mom. Every time I tried, it fell through. Every time I pulled a team together to be a part of her daily care, something would happen and it would fall apart. And so literally I had to be here. I have to be here. And so the publishing piece in 2016 was my saving grace. And when I found the Be Alive in March that was, to me, it was like this huge gift landed right in my lap, and I wasn't even looking for it. You know, and so when you told me about the publishing piece and about Sagittarians, I got that. That was huge. A huge piece fell into place.
The quote is, Saturn rewards are solid and long lasting. So when you do your work, when you get to those juicy bits that are grisly and grinding and sorrowful even, you know that those rewards are going to be worth it. Right. Even if slogging through it does not feel worth it. I would like to address Holly's question in the chat room if we could. How do you tell the difference between Saturn returning and going through the process of ascension? That's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking that. There might be some pieces of that mirroring each other. But I will say this, in terms of astrology, Saturn represents constriction, so pulling in, going within. If your normal routine just feels like it's draining you, your energy is leaving and not coming back, not bouncing back, that you have to take naps, that you have to turn inward, that you have to go in your cave, like Carla Joe is saying in the chat room.
Yeah.
That pulling in, things are harder. Situations, people, relationships are leaving. That is an indicator of Saturn. So we've talked about the return, but I want to mention this piece briefly. Saturn goes into a new sign every 2.5 years, and a Saturn cycle is about 7 years. So he's all the time going different places. The Saturn oppositions can be just as profound as the returns. Because at the opposition time, maybe there's somebody here who's in, let's see, ages 14, 42, 70, 98, in those ranges. So give or take 2 years on each side of those, okay? That's the opposition, where you're looking at face to face. When Saturn is a return, that means he's coming right back around smack dab to where he was sitting next to you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like your tutor sitting next to you to make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and you didn't miss any spaces, and this is this. But the opposition can be just as challenging where you're called on the carpet.
And you're looking them right in the eye.
That's right, eyeball to eyeball.
Oh my gosh. And I have to add this one, is that, okay, here I am, right? Saturn return. That's what we're talking about tonight. My mom, Gemini, is 98. And so the other night when we were talking, you said, oh, your mom's going through her Saturn opposition. And so, you know, it's like I said before, you can't make this stuff up. You know, because I didn't know about the Saturn opposition. And so here she is going through her own experience with Saturn in that opposition. Yeah. You know? So let's just say that Saturn is at Elm Avenue in Toma, for sure. At my address. So yeah, and thank you for that, Julie, because it really helps to understand, you know, the dynamics, the things that have been going on here. It really helps to put it into a perspective and a different kind of understanding. Because I tell you what, I don't know, there's some people in the chat room who are saying basically the same thing, that either they're going through it or they've been through it. And you cannot, I'm sorry, but you cannot help but be in a position at moments of feeling sorry for yourself or feeling the victim. Because you don't understand it. You're doing everything that you know. You've got your tools that you've learned. all the spiritual classes that you've been through, all of the gifts that you came in with, and you start second guessing yourself. You know, and that's where the challenge is, especially for light workers, especially when I should know about this stuff. For goodness sakes. And then we're even harder on ourselves. But we have to reach out to our friends. A good therapist is always good to have in the pocket, definitely. But to have somebody like Julie who can help you understand from this perspective, this one layer, because we live multi-dimensional lives. We live multi-layered lives. And so to help us understand it, for me, I turned to the one person I knew I could sit down and be vulnerable with, because I couldn't do it any other way. I don't know how many shows I've done where you guys have heard me near tears because I said something or someone said something and it was a trigger. So I can't be anything other than vulnerable because I've been stripped to the core. You know, there's no hiding anything. And so to reach out for help, to reach out and help. I had the girl, my sisters here 2 weeks ago. And one of my sisters, Teresa, she's a Gemini, very talkative. She loves words. And so, but she helped, very significant help with tapping. Okay. And let me tell you, that helped move some energy through. And how I woke up the next day like, you know, hey, I feel pretty good. So reaching out for help to help understand, because once we can call it something, then we can start using our gifts and our talents in a more focused way. And I think, Julie, is that what you're trying to say to us when Saturn is saying, cross your T's, dot your I's? We got work to do.
We have work to do because it's for the best you. Could I ask you to pull up the picture that says Saturn asks for?
Okay.
We're going to do a little side-by-side here on what Saturn asks of us and then what Saturn gives us. So just you can see the image here. Saturn asks us to be dedicated, to be ambitious, to be responsible, to be cautious, to be patient, which all those words can be challenging. For me, patience, But if we do, then we have these gifts of accomplishment, endurance. That's an important one. Integrity. You are who you say you are, even when no one's watching.
Yeah.
And wisdom and capital or resources. Minnie says she's not able to see it.
Oh, really?
It's not coming up.
Oh, here, let's give it a soul here, and if that might help.
Okay. And I know we're kind of close on time here, and I'd like to talk a little bit about, there we go, what the gifts are.
Okay, I can bring that one up. What the gifts are. Whoops, that's the one you wanted, right? The one that was up?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Because the other one was...
the one, how Saturn, helping Saturn to help you. You know, when we're slogging through the depths of muck and mire and despair, if you want to just put up that list again, that'd be great.
Yeah, there we are.
What we can do when we're in a place of stuckness or constriction or turning inward because, hey, everything else is just so hard to even get out of bed, we have to just stop and let it happen. But we're not completely helpless. We can help Saturn help us. We can sharpen our pencils. We can tie our shoes. We can have our notebooks ready and just be receptive. And so these points that I sent you this afternoon, I thought we could talk a little bit about how we can help Saturn help us. And Saturn, again, is living inside of us. So we can be mindful and really reach for prayer. Saturn is an earth planet. You think of him as the Rocky Mountains. Saturn is the element of the earth, which is the direction of the north. We all know that in the medicine wheel. And in the direction of the north, that's where we have the winter time. So think of when Saturn visits you, that's the house of winter. So what do you do at winter time? You kind of curl up under your blankie and you ride out the snowstorm sometimes. Maybe you can go out and throw snowballs, but you're going to kind of go inward for a little bit. But prayer, that's the big thing. In the north, and the element of earth is prayer. So praying in whatever tradition that is for you. And I'm a person who believes in prayer and chanting. The way that I pray is through chanting, and one of my most favorite chants is the Ganesha chant. Do you know that one, Neshi? Would you be able to type it? Om Gam Ganapataye. And if you need me to spell that, I can get into our chat. You got it?
I got to get there. Okay, spell it for me, please.
Okay, how about I try to... I'm sorry, folks. Let me get back here. Gom Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And while she's typing that, I will share it with you.
You're going to need to help me spell it.
I put it in chat.
Oh, did you? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Got it.
Ganesha is a Hindu deity, and he is said to be the remover of obstacles, and his chant is Om Gam Ganapataye. So I will just share that while she's getting that typed in. Yeah, there it is. Om Gam Ganapataye. 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 Oh, that's so good.
It's beautiful. I love that one.
And literally it means Om is the primal sound of creation. Gam is what the Hindus call a seed mantra or bij mantra. So Gam literally means Ganesha in its most central point. Ganapataye is also another name for Ganesha. And Namaha means I submit to, I bow to, I honor. So when you are in that vibration of using that particular mantra, you are calling on the powers of yourself and the universe and your spiritual team to assist you in gently and powerfully removing those obstacles.
Yeah.
And sometimes the obstacles are our own expectations or our own beliefs of, dang it should be different, and it ain't.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, I loved my life the way it was. I was going to hold on to it. I was going to do what I had to do to make it happen. And it was the wrong stance to make because I made it so much more painful for myself than it needed to be. And so try not to go through the pain. You start sifting through things. It's like, oh, okay, not that one. Oh, okay. All right. I feel a little bit better. So it really is a process. And Icona says, I wish I had a person in my life that I could talk to about this stuff, but there's no one that is aware of this stuff. It definitely can't be my father because he believes in the fear-based God. Yeah, and I think that you state that for many people, it's having the person that you can actually be open with and be vulnerable with and know that they won't take advantage of that or that they won't turn it against you, Mm-hmm. And so we have lots of good people here at Star Nations who can do this. Yes. You can go to our website, which is www.starnations.org, and go to the advisors page, and there's some listed there. Julie, how do people find you?
You can get a hold of me at thetarotjourney@gmail.com or on Facebook, facebook.com Tarot Journey Julie. My website is under construction, so
yeah. But if you'd like to have Julie help you with your astrology, if you are, let's put it this way, guys. Those who are watching the show with us tonight, if you know a Sagittarian, share this with them. Be a good friend to them, a good, a good person in their life, and share it with them. If you've noticed that they're just not quite themselves, they're not. Help them out. Share the show with them. And at least allow them to make the decision if that's something that they want to use or not. They can get a hold of Julie if they need some help. If you know some Capricorns. Because when does it move into Capricorn?
December, what is that date? It's December 17th, I think.
I know.
Let me see if I can find that date.
I don't think this is it. This is where is he now? Oh, Capricorn, it goes from 2017. You have December 19th.
December 19th. Okay. I was not too far off. So yeah, that's when it heads into Capricorn.
Yeah. So if you know any Capricorns, you might want to share this show with them too, just so that you can give them heads up because Saturn's going to come knocking on their door next month. Insane. I'm coming for a visit. We got work to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you had said something to me, and I know that we're short on time here, like we're at the top of the hour. You had said something to me about in my chart that it had the opposition, not the opposition, I can't remember the word you used. It was in February.
Oh, that was that's Chiron.
That's a Chiron, that's right. I forgot about that piece. Got that going on too.
Yeah, that's the lunar eclipse hitting your Chiron. Oh boy.
Yeah, here we go. February. So those are near and dear to me. I'm still going to be busy till February. So let's get through February and everything will be they'll be the new me, I mean, even my hair's changed, so it's good stuff though. We got to look at the gifts, right? And because Saturn does give us gifts, and we have so many souls wanting to help us. And I'm going to show them the quote that you have.
Oh, yes.
Would you like to read it out loud? Since it's your quote.
Walking, I am listening to a deeper way. Suddenly all my ancestors are behind me. Be still, they say. Watch and listen. You are the result of the love of thousands.
Mm.
And that's the deepest message that Saturn gives us. But only when we've done our work.
Yeah.
Does he say, that a girl, that a boy?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and I've been at this since 2015. Sagittarians, we've been at this since 2015. Another 3 months. And, you know, we may have gone past the hardest part, maybe. Just ask for some help. Ask your team, your spiritual team, for help. I remember a really hard time one night, crying, and talking to my team. I'm mad at them. I'm saying, what the hell? You know, come on, I need some help here. And what happened was I could feel my higher self, that part of me, come in. And I felt like I was being cradled. I was being held. And I could feel the love. And I was in the right place at the right time. Doing exactly what I needed to be doing. And that was being still, and that was being quiet and feeling the love.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but the gifts are going to be immense. So, Julie, thank you so much for spending time with us tonight and being here for a whole hour, because usually the show is only 30 minutes. And I appreciate it. I do. Thank you.
I love talking about the stars, so you can ask me anytime.
Anytime. All right. And with that, guys, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And let's hope that we were helpful to some souls tonight. So with that, have a nice rest of the evening and enjoy the rest of the week. We have next week coming up. I can't remember who my guest is next week. I don't think I have anybody coming in yet on the 14th. Got to find somebody for us. So anyway, enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll see you next week, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here for Star Nations Communications from Home. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Julie.